Good morning and welcome to this decision meeting for Culture and City Development. Come on and join us, Sue. Okay. I'm Councillor Steve Pitt. I'm the Cabinet Member for Culture and City Development. We'll go around the table before we do anything else and introduce ourselves because we are being live streamed today.
Claire Looney, Commissioning and Partnership Manager.
Lindy Elliott, Libraries and Archives Manager.
Jane Mee, Museums and Visitor Services Manager.
Sue Page, Finance Manager.
Anna Martin, Local Democracy Officer.
Thanks everyone, and we're joined by Fiona Cunningham from the News. Good morning, Fiona, and welcome. We have apologies for absence from Councillor Stephen Morgan, who's the Labour portfolio holder, but he's sent in some written remarks, and I've asked Claire if they're mainly about the first item that we're going to talk about today. So I will ask Claire to address those in her comments when she introduces the report, if that's right with you, Linda. Are you comfortable with that? Okay, that's fine. Okie doke. I'm not going to read all the pre-meeting drill stuff, but there isn't a scheduled fire alarm, so if it does go off, we have to go and assemble by the Queen Victoria statue. Are you all right with that, Fiona, as well? Good. Thank you. In that case, we'll move on to declarations of interests. I do not have any, neither does Councillor Symes, for the record. Takes us to item 3, which is Portsmouth Creates, and that's Claire Looney.
Councillor Pitt, thank you very much. The purpose of the report is to authorise the creation of Portsmouth Creates and a contribution from the local authority towards this new independent organisation, which is the result of quite a prolonged process and formation which was initiated by Victoria's Festival and James Rawls, who personally wanted to help support provision of a new creative and cultural strategy to harness what we know is the latent energy and enthusiasm around cultural and creative industries based in the city. Councillor, James undertook a process by which he engaged an independent review of how to develop a creative strategy, a creative and cultural strategy, and that was undertaken by he directly engaged and put in an application to the Arts Council, which was successful, to secure some funding to engage Stephen Browning. Stephen Browning then undertook quite a lengthy process. It probably took longer than we thought it might do, but that was also in terms of ensuring that a much broader range of people were able to be involved in a process, and a presentation was made by Stephen Browning of the outcome of that process in March this year. Therefore, this is the first time we've had as an opportunity to bring a paper to Culture and City Development in order to look at where that cultural strategy is going next. It isn't our document as such, it's not a local authority strategy, but at some point obviously we may wish to adopt the strategy or have documents that work to it. However, the process for this point is, if you like, the next step in the process. Conversations with the Arts Council, which James Rawls had, and this is also on a personal basis as well, not just him as Victoria's Festival. Basically, they want to take it to the next steps where they set up an independent organisation which helps harness and look at new initiatives, new ventures. And the aim would be that as an independent organisation which are not tied to either an existing building, as many of our current cultural and creative organisations are, that it has a lot more freedom to help develop, looking at entrepreneurial ways of supporting and taking things forward in a different way than perhaps we've been able to do either for ourselves as a local authority or as any of the building-based organisations which primarily exist in the city. This would also enable that lots of that freelance artist network, which we know is very strong in the city, could help be part of something new and different in a way that perhaps they feel slightly excluded because they're not based in a building or part of that building offer. Therefore, this paper is seeking to provide an organisation, this new organisation, which has been given the title of Portsmouth Creates, a grant of £50,000 for each of the first 2 years of its operation. The funding will be found from within the portfolio reserve, and it's been earmarked for this in terms of helping the organisation deliver towards those initial aims that they've got for the cultural and creative strategy. We are aware that there will be a number of partner organisations giving a financial contribution. We are the first to, if you like, take a paper through a process in order to do that. We are conscious that Portsmouth Creates isn't a legal entity yet, and I can confirm that there will be no payment of any form until the legal entity formally exists and that a detailed service level agreement has been put in place. The service level agreement will, as Councillor Morgan's question asked, to have a direct relationship to the City Council's priorities and outcomes, and it will be very specific. But at this stage, we almost needed us to bite the bullet and take a paper forward in order for other organisations, such as the Arts Council, who are considering it, and the contribution from the University of Portsmouth is also being considered, to make sure that things could go forward. I can confirm that if for any reason the organisation doesn't come to fruition, then obviously the grant will not be paid. So this would only occur if other funding is released and it is a financially viable model, and obviously then to ensure that the legal processes are in place sitting behind it, with very specific opportunities to look at outcomes which benefit us against the priorities we have, but also benefit the much wider city and help meet those cultural and creative strategy aims. I'd be very happy to take any questions, and I hope I've answered the specific questions that Councillor Morgan has raised in his email.
Thank you very much, Claire. Any comments, Linda?
I think it's a really good idea, but the only thing, as I was told you before, I was concerned about is I don't want it to become a great big talking shop. So the committee, however it ends up, needs to be fairly small. I think it's a good idea if the other two do contribute, the Arts Council, and I'm sure there will be lots of others come forward. So all in all, I think it's a great idea, and I can't wait to see it get started.
Thank you very much, and also thank you, because I know you were supportive of the concept of the strategy and stuff when you were the portfolio holder before me. So it's something that's been supported across parties and has the potential to be a game changer in enabling and empowering our cultural and creative community to take their destiny into their own hands and flourish even more than they already do. We've got some world leaders in the city, many of whom have shown a great deal of interest in this, and I think the opportunities are endless, and it's going to be quite exciting going forward. So thank you very much for presenting that today, Claire, and we'll look forward to the next steps. I better keep putting my glasses on, I can't see nothing without them. Annual Libraries and Archives updates, and that'll be Lindy.
Thank you, Lindy Elliott. This is the Library and Archives annual report, which gives updates on our activity over the last 12 months and recommends activities and actions and strategies for the coming year. Broadly looking at the list, we are for 2019-20 looking at a library strategy for 2020 to 2025. We are looking at launching the new website, which will happen by March 2020. Development of the school's library service, refurbishment at Cosham Library, in line with some structural repairs that are going on. There will be a stock review and a pilot which in fact is already in place to deliver a Summer Reading Challenge Plus, which will then be evaluated and consider recommendations going forward. Additional to that, we will be exploring options for a consortia library management system. Current conversations going on with Southampton and the Isle of Wight, and in fact in the last week Hampshire have also expressed some interest, and continue to deliver our City of Stories project and our Health and Transformation Fund wellbeing zones and the associated outreach. I think headlines over the last year, Summer Reading Challenge has gone from strength to strength. We have managed to provide a photographic store, which we now need in this year to complete and set up. Universal credit is slightly in abeyance at the moment, but that continues to be an issue, and a great deal of work has been put in place to ensure that that will be properly and appropriately delivered as and when required. The City of Stories has had its own report and will, continue to do that. Also, we have the development of the archive outreach policy, and the school's library service, again, looking at how it can best deal with its clients. And I think that is an ongoing process, very much driven by the technology and what is available at this stage. So a good year, a positive year, but very much work in progress.
Thank you very much. Comments, Linda?
Yes, I'm looking forward to going to see the City of Stories, which is next week. And I'm also really pleased that you've got the pilot scheme to try and target the children who don't usually get to take part in the summer reading challenge, because they're usually the children that will benefit most from being able to do that. So, no, thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Symes. On that particular issue, you may be interested to receive some feedback we had this morning from the first school to finish. And it does have some very, very positive outcomes for those children. And in fact, a little better than we were expecting for a pilot. So we've got some very encouraging news, which I'll share.
Thanks, Lindy. It has been fantastic, and the idea that we're going to get hundreds of additional children competing that by just being a bit smart about how we approach it is brilliant. And the space theme this year, I understand, is already proving to be quite popular. I'm seeing it on various parents' Facebook sites that they seem to be equally as excited as the children. So hopefully we'll get record numbers again. Just wanted to comment on the City of Stories work, which is ongoing, I know, and very positive indeed. And to thank you for, Linda, you'll probably remember that Councillor Rob New brought a motion, or a question, I think, to full council a little while back around whether or not we could do anything to get a library service into Cotton Ward. And although it didn't end up getting asked, I had a chat with Lindy afterwards, and we've arranged for the mobile library to stop an extra day in Copner now. Rob has been informed and has asked me to pass on his thanks for making that happen. So thank you very much indeed. And thank you and the team for all that you do. It's greatly appreciated. Archives management policies, which is back to you, Lindy.
Thank you. In fact, I'm speaking for Michael Gunton here, and the policy, broadly speaking, is an update on an existing policy. This year we are looking to reapply for our archive accreditation, and in order to do that, one of the stages is to have this policy updated and in place. In fact, there's very, very little change other than a couple of updates in legislation, which is quoted at 3.1 of the collections policy. And I think a couple of slight alterations to the scope of the collections, but other than that it remains the same, but important in order to achieve accreditation.
Great, thank you very much. Linda, anything? Okay, thank you very much for that. And that brings us to Portsmouth Museum's annual update, and that will be Jane Mee.
Thank you, Councillor Pitt. So this report looks at the financial year that's gone, and sets out our plans for the year ahead. In both cases, what we've done and what we're going to be doing are very much informed by two significant projects, the Transforming the D-Day Museum project and also the Landing Craft Tank project in partnership with the National Museum of the Royal Navy. So the Transforming the D-Day Museum project saw the opening of the D-Day story last financial year. The museum achieved all its visitor and income targets. We've been quite overwhelmed really by the positive response that the museum has received. A lot of fantastic reviews on TripAdvisor, and in some ways I feel that what we've done has exceeded expectations, so it's obviously been a very rewarding first year of operation. But of course that project goes on. We have funding from National Lottery Heritage Fund that takes us all the way until the end of 2020, early 2021. With the emphasis now on the programming and delivery of the activity plan. And the emphasis there is very much on continuing our work to make sure the museum is access for people with disabilities, continuing to work with young people to make sure they're involved and contributing to the work of the museum service, and also engaging with broader audiences and making sure that we keep that story alive as we were asked to by the veterans. And then in terms of Landing Craft Tank, last year saw the successful bid, round 2 bid for the lottery funding. Obviously that was led by National Museum of the Royal Navy. So now we're in the implementation phase, and I think for us, for the D-Day story, the main thing is to ensure that there is the landing craft tank fits smoothly and is picked up by the ongoing operation and business planning, so it becomes a coherent whole, and the new element works really well for the museum, and the museum really supports the new element, so it really goes with a bang, and obviously we'll be looking forward to that in spring, early summer of next year in terms of opening. So they're the sort of main things, and then thinking about the other things that we will be working on this year. Obviously we have savings targets to meet and a generation of new income streams. The Wild About Portsmouth project is still underway, so fantastic work going on to make sure those collections are accessible and can be used for a range of activities to engage people of all ages and all levels of interest. But then also starting to think about working up plans for the redisplay of Cumberland House. They're very old exhibitions, as you know, and how we might develop those in partnership with stakeholders such as our volunteers, other natural science organisations within the city, but also the families that visit the museum. Also hoping to deliver the Portsmouth Revisited exhibition paintings at the Portsmouth Museum. Again, a very exciting project that will be. We have now secured some of the loans we were hoping for. The anniversary of VE Day in March 2020, we need to do something for that. And then also we have the 125th anniversary of municipal museums in Portsmouth, and I just feel we've got to do something about that, haven't we? Even if it's small. And then of course we have some funding for South Sea Lighthouse, the South Sea Lighthouse project, so we just need to take that forward in the months ahead. So that's where I'm up to so far.
Thank you very much, Jane. Councillor Symes.
Yeah, it's great to hear about the landing tank craft. I just wish it could have managed to arrive before VE Day in March. I think it's probably not going to happen, but it would be great if it did. I'm also really pleased that Cumberland House up 47% the visitors. I think that's absolutely wonderful. You know, all the museums are up, but I mean that's a great one because. And what do you think contributes to that? What do you think the contribution has been?
I think the main thing is the Butterfly House, being able to do, being able to do that. The fact that it's the new space. More knowledge has gone into how it's been equipped in terms of the planting and having a better understanding of what the butterflies needed. And then we've worked very closely with the Stratford Butterfly Farm. They've been very generous in their advice and guidance. And so it is sort of a beautiful and amazing experience, isn't it? And it's so exciting, I think, for children and adults. So I think that's been hugely
and the beehive
instrumental.
as well, I suppose.
Beehive,
that's
yes, yeah. And I think and so I just think if we can bring the rest of the museum up to that standard, not immediately, that would be great, and people will really appreciate that.
Okay, thank you. That's all I need to say.
Okay, just a few comments from me, but that relate to the report. It was fantastic to go to the Spinnaker Tower with you and the Lord Mayor to meet with and congratulate the community groups who'd taken part in various projects around D-Day. They all had gelled and bonded together. It was an amazing evening, and to see some videos of some of the work they've been doing was just fantastic and really uplifting experience all round. And I got to see the drama performance by Red Sauce and the extras at the D-Day story, which again was very well attended and very positively delivered, and fantastic that they engaged with a range of people with learning difficulties in that, and who performed brilliantly, I have to say. The investment that you made into the Butterfly House has definitely paid dividends, and I know that the work Christine's been doing down there, and having visited the museum store and seen her pulling stuff out from all over the place and all pulled up all ready to go in, and some new display cases that we managed to acquire and stuff, I think we'll get to where we need to be with Cumberland House, which is really great.
I did forget to congratulate everyone, Claire and of course Jane, on the wonderful work they did on D-Day. They took such a long time and spent such a lot of effort, and it was a fantastic, beautiful day, and I don't think any of us will ever forget how wonderful it was. Thank you.
Very well said. Okay, anything else on that one before we move on? No? Okay, so we're down to Brookfest update, so back to Lindy.
Thank you, Councillor Pitt. Now representing Claire Forsyth, who led on this project, who is also very busy today. This is a report on the 9th annual Bookfest, so the 9th operation, and we have grown over the years, and leading in fact up to the 10-year project, which will be the culmination also of City of Stories. But this is an information report which is a good news story of increased attendance, increase across the board, clearly flagging up a few areas. We are being super critical at this stage because we are seeking to rectify a lot of the issues and concerns, but and those are probably flagged up as having a quite white Caucasian audience, having certain challenges around attracting the 20 to 50 age range, and potentially needing to broaden the offer, particularly for children, so that we're more challenging in that offer, and are encouraging more children and young people and adults to have a more proactive association with the festival. So there's more activity, more participation, as opposed to being a consumer only. But this has all come from the learning, and we've really benefited from the City of Stories funding, which has allowed us to build in some resilience, and we're very, very hopeful that for next year, which will be our 10th anniversary, we will be able to put a great deal of this in place and have that final celebration of City of Stories.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Linda.
Thank you.
It doesn't seem possible that it will be 10 years. I remember Dominic Kipping coming in as the literacy officer and promoting so well and getting things going all that time back. And the fact that successive officers have managed to move it forward in really difficult circumstances at times because of the funding pressures that we faced across the council, but we've remained committed to this throughout. And it's so important, and the events are just first class. Just a couple of quick things to note. This is the first public decision meeting of the year, so I did want to formally note the Directorate's work on the D-Day events. Thank you very much to everyone for all they did, and please pass that on to teams, because I know that it was a huge team effort, and no mean feat trying to get a world-class event off the ground and delivered so successfully in 8 weeks. Normally you'd plan 18 months for that, but the government decided otherwise. But you all rose to the challenge brilliantly, and I'd like to also please note thanks to James Rawls and Terry at Victoria's Festival for stepping up and partnering Portsmouth City Council to help make that happen, because if they hadn't, we would have struggled. So thanks to everyone for that. Just officially for the record, all recommendations in those reports are approved and noted. Anyone got any further remarks for today? Then thank you all for coming.